If you had to describe the Seal Woman in one sentence to someone who's never heard it, what would you say?
It's a ravishing evocation of Highland life using genuine folk melodies from many, many centuries of Hebridean culture.
If this opera had to be a single emoji, what would it be?
A single, so you're not allowed a seal and a woman and
That's too
and
easy.
Music and music.
Okay, a combination of emoji.
It's going to be a rainbow, a hill, the sea, a seal, a woman, some music, a broken heart, another rainbow, a sea.
If the Seal Woman herself were to hum a favourite tune, which Hebridean folk melody from the opera do you think she'd choose?
So I think she would choose the Eriskay Love Lilt. I think that's probably what's drawn her to the shore. I think it kind of represents the fantasy of life on land that she's tempted by, and which ultimately leads to her giving up her life in the sea to, ultimately tragic consequences.
The Cailleach is a grand storyteller in the opera. If you could sit her down with a cup of tea, what question would you ask her?
I would ask her how she knew all of the things that she tells us and still not see the gathering storm coming. Or maybe she does, but I think I'd be interested in how she's come to see all of this and be able to sit back from it to the degree that she does.
Every score has its quirks. What's the most unexpected or funny thing you spotted in the Seal Woman manuscript?
I think you'd fixed a lot of those by the time the score came to me. I think other more sensible hands had fixed a lot of those problems. I think that the unexpected, actually, though it kind of works, is quite how divided the strings are when it's down to single players. So I think it's unexpected in that it was a really courageous thing to ask a pit band in 1924 to create this ravishing string texture with about 3.5 people.
What's one thing about recording an opera that people wouldn't know?
I suspect people wouldn't realise the degree to which we have to record out of order. The challenge of working through an opera that you've never had time to do in order is really profound. Obviously, this happens in films as well, and I think Colin Firth has spoken quite angrily about people who describe film acting as not real acting, when you have to film murdering your wife one day, but you don't actually do the wedding scene until 2 weeks later, and then you do a love scene with her, but half of that's with a body double because the actress is off shooting something else. And I think opera recording has something of that about it, that because you have to do it out of order, you have to start with a really strong sense of the shape and direction of it, and you have to hold that in your mind, because you're going to suddenly have to jump in and out of scenes, and you have to carry with you the sense of where they fit in the totality.
How do you handle that? How do you keep focus?
By always having the big shape completely clear in your mind. And I think that's one of the most important jobs a conductor has, but in a recording that's doubly so. The big picture is really, really important, because everybody else will concentrate on the detail. The singers will know their parts. The orchestra will be in the detail of the music. But on the podium, you have to bring the grand shape.
Some non-Seal Woman questions. Behind the scenes, what's your go-to snack or drink to power through a long recording day?
Well, mainly it's coffee. Start with coffee and then a lot of carbohydrates. So I tend to eat a lot at breakfast and then a lot at lunch, but mainly it's the coffee.
What's your favourite way to unwind at the end of a long recording process?
So what is very nice is if we can all wind down together. The process is incredibly intense, but as a consequence of the fact that we often do these things out of order, that's not always possible. So I have to make do, usually with getting home, ideally making a moderately elaborate meal, something that involves lots of chopping, lots of cooking, lots of thought, something which is creative but not pressured, a nice glass of something. After a performance, it's always beer, because I am a brass player, even if it's 30 years since I've actually played. But maybe after a recording with that, maybe a glass of wine, and just to settle into something that is meditative and lets all of that music and all of that adrenaline gently seep away.
Off the podium, we know that you're a cat lover. Which of your 3 cats it would be most likely to sneak onto the stage during a performance?
The tabby Lady Grey, I don't think would be bothered, and Moriarty, one of the black ones, would absolutely, definitely be far too frightened. So it would be Sherlock who would come and very, very loudly complain that she wasn't being paid attention to.
If you had to persuade someone to listen to this opera, why would you listen to it?
Because this is indescribably beautiful music. It's lyrical, it's ravishingly orchestrated, it's beautifully sung, and you will not have heard anything like it.
John, thank you. That's great.
Pleasure.
Thank you.